So I hear the term unrealistic expectation of women's bodies get thrown around quite a bit around feminist circles. I've heard it a lot more recently due to the whole protein war thing, but over the course of this entire year, it's come up. It even came up in the whole double standard of having standards video series I created some time ago. This is a very interesting idea, this idea that the media portrays a bunch of unrealistic images for women to aspire to try to be like, or a whole bunch of unrealistic forms that the female body just cannot take. And it's a very peculiar idea to me, considering the fact that, well, technically speaking, they're not always unrealistic. Some of them are very realistic, and because some of these women actually exist, you know. But the thing about it all is we see these different images of unrealistic expectations of women, and yet we never once talk about the unrealistic expectation of men. Let's go all the way over to China and talk about those unrealistic expectations that monks have of each other. Did you know that children in China, children, young boys, monks, are expected to hold the horse stance for upwards of 3 minutes? Now, I challenge anybody watching this video to get up and try to do the horse stance for 3 minutes. I can only do the horse stance for about 45 seconds. Now some people will probably crack out about a minute because they work out a lot. But the horse stance is a very difficult stance to stay in for upwards of 3 minutes. And children are expected to do this. Monks have real unrealistic expectations. But the thing about their real unrealistic expectations, you know, the expectation that they can break cinder block, can withstand blows from each other, can jump on pike heads and not be punctured by them, these monks meet those unrealistic expectations all of the time through a lot of hard work and strenuous exercise. So I see the whole unrealistic expectation of women's bodies thing, and then I say, well, if a monk can break through cinder block, how come a woman can't lose a couple of pounds or a little bit of weight? Also, if you take a look at the different type of imagery that you get between men and women, you can see that men are oftentimes, well, not even oftentimes, but always, a hell of a lot bigger than women, and a lot more muscular. As it turns out, packing on muscle is actually quite a difficult thing to do, especially if you have a very fast metabolism. Gaining weight sometimes is not always as easy as just eating a bunch of food, or gaining the correct kind of weight, muscle. You have to work out a lot. You have to eat the right kinds of fat and the right kinds of protein. To build up an incredible body that looks like this takes time and effort. It's a hard thing to do, and not a lot of people do it. But even when you compare the effort that women have to take to look like this, and the effort men take to look like this, I mean, men are still doing a lot of harder work than women are. Now, I'm not saying this to completely discredit and to say that a lot of pressure is not placed on women to look good. But what I am saying is that we at least take it seriously and even think about the topic of unrealistic expectation of women. We don't even talk about the unrealistic expectations that we place on men, and even the unrealistic expectation that women place on men in their relationships with them. However, in this video, we're going to primarily focus on the unrealistic body images and whatnot. So I try to figure out what this whole ideal female form is. In the first decade of 2000, it kind of seemed like the ideal female body was this really skinny runaway model thing, or at least from what I can tell. However, I personally have never been attracted to women like that. However, in the 2010s, it kind of looks like this new ideal female form are, really athletic women with nice big posteriors, at least from what I can tell. And that's kind of, where I lean a little more towards. But even with that being said, the whole idea of this ideal female form, I think, is a very incredibly stupid one and very unreasonable idea, particularly because, a lot of different guys are attracted to different things, I mean, there really is no one ideal female form, and if you go to different countries, different guys are attracted to different things. I mean, there's no real one body type that I think everyone is attracted to equally, and even with that being said, I'm still sure there's just, we're all just different, to put it bluntly. So to aspire to these ideals that you see on the media is a very strange thing to me, because it's not everybody. It might even be an average, but it doesn't appeal to everybody. Even if some woman were to meet some ideal female form that I'm personally not attracted to, she tried to appeal to me that way, I'd be like, yeah, nah, you're all right looking, you know. But that's the thing. And even with that being said, it isn't saying that she's wasted her time or that she's worthless. It's just personally how I feel. Now, here's one thing that really throws me for a loop, that I find to be very peculiar about the whole unrealistic expectation and the ideal female form. The thing that gets me is that I hear so many times feminists will go on and on about how women are expected to look this way and how the media tells us that this is how women are supposed to look like that, or that's how women are supposed to look like. And these young little ladies will see these different images and they will think that they're supposed to look like this. But I have to wonder, why? Who told you that you had to look like that? You saw an ad or you saw a cartoon or you saw any, magazine cover and you think that's what you have to look like? Why? Who told you that? Who told you that you had to look like this? Particularly, again, because different people are attracted to different things. So who told you that you absolutely had to meet this standard? If someone did tell you that, they bold-faced lied to you, and I'm sorry you had to deal with that, but it just isn't true. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But you gotta understand that people aren't gonna be attracted to what you look like all of the time. Different strokes for different blokes. It's a really easy thing to say. But again, I wonder, who tells these girls that they have to look like this? Who tells them that they absolutely have to meet this standard? The answer, from as far as I can tell, is that they tell themselves this. They see these images and they get jealous, or they see these images and they think that they have to meet this goal, but it's just not true. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. They see these different images and they compare themselves to these images, and that's where a lot of the insecurity comes from. That's where a lot of the depression and body issues stem from. But it isn't something that only affects women. It's something that affects people, because men also feel these pressures. And the truth of the matter is, the pressure really doesn't seem to come from society. It comes from each other, men and women. You see, the purpose of being physically attractive is to attract the opposite sex. Being attractive, aside from getting other people to want to have sex with you, is a gigantic waste of time. There's no reason to put a lot of stress or a lot of time into your appearance if you're not trying to get somebody to have sex with you, because that's its only function. Now, it is indeed true that being attractive gives you perks in society, but its function in terms of evolution and its function in terms of sexual attraction is to just get people to want to have sex with you. Physical attraction is an indicator of health at its primary function. That's its job. It indicates that the person looks healthy. This is why some body types are more attractive than the other, because some look healthier than others. Due to our reptilian brain and due to our subconscious mind, the things that we associate with health are what we find to be most attractive. For men particularly, the things we see or we associate the most with fertility is what we find most attractive. This is why most of the makeup that you probably ever put on in your life is trying to make you look younger than what you actually are. Let's focus on the ideal body though. This form that has changed throughout the centuries and has changed throughout the decades. It's very interesting that for women it changes, but for men it's been pretty bloody consistent. Big pectoralis muscles, six-pack abs, some rippling obliques, and some big shoulders and big biceps. That's it. That's the only form for men. But for women, it constantly changes and it constantly fluctuates. With an ideal that continuously changes, why do you feel the need to aspire to be that way? The thing about images and the thing about looking at heroes or the thing about looking at motivations is sometimes you're not supposed to ever obtain that goal. Sometimes you are supposed to struggle to try to be like that, to give you a model of what you can be, but not always what you should be. When you look at Captain America, when I look at Captain America isn't what I'm supposed to be, but it's what I can be. Bruce Lee may not be what I'm supposed to be, but it's what I can be. That's the point of looking at something or being inspired by something. It is not you saying that you have to be that way. It is a model of what you can be, and it is a choice you choose if you want to be that way, if you want to do that. That is the purpose as to why we have these different imageries or these different models. We have these models to show you what you can be, not what you have to be. And I want that to be a point that any young lady or any young man gets out of this video. Okay, that's the point of inspiration. All right. That being said, Let's get back to the ideal female form one more time, and I'm going to keep saying that because it's the title of this video. The thing that gets me is that women will say that these forms are unobtainable or it's impossible to obtain them, particularly because a lot of the time they are either computer generated or it's genetic. It's either computer generated or the young lady has been just genetically perfect. She just came out the womb that way and went through puberty. And I understand that to a certain extent. Because there are a lot of women who obtain their fitness goals, and a lot of women who actually look like this. This is Chris Fit, or the Tumblr that she used to run was named Chris Fit, and she, in the before picture, weighed 193 pounds, I believe, and I know she lost upwards of 73 pounds. Right now, she said she was overweight for most of her adult life until finally she got fed up with it and wanted to make a change, and she lost the weight in the course of a year. So, I mean, if you look at this woman right here, Chris, she doesn't have the over-exaggerated hips, she isn't a pear shape, but she looks healthy, she looks good, she looks beautiful. She's a beautiful young lady, and she was, kind of cute when she was overweight, but, that's neither here nor there. Point that I'm making is that, she made a change, she made a difference, and she put in the work and put in the effort, and she changed. And so if we have women like this who are able to put in the effort and change, how can we say that, these girls are forced to have unrealistic expectations? I mean, sure, some women are genetic and some women have easier times than others, and some women have wider hips and some women have bigger boobs. But I mean, again, you can be beautiful in all different shapes, sizes, and forms. There's no form you have to be. And looking at these images aren't unrealistic just because they're rare or really hard to obtain. Angie Verona actually looks like that. Brittany Renner actually looks like this. These are two women who work out and exercise and they have obtained their goals and look the way they want to look. So it seems that the ideal form they're not really unrealistic expectations because these are real people and they've actually met their own expectations. And they continue to exercise and continue to better themselves because that's what they want to do. It's not what they have to do, it's what they want to do. So that being said, I think it's a kind of a mute point to say that this is what you have to be like or this is what you're supposed to look like and then say that it's unrealistic or it's impossible to obtain. Because that's not true. It is possible. It just takes time and effort, But I want to, again, I want young ladies and young men to, particularly young women, to really think about this ideal body or this female form or these unrealistic expectations. And I want them to understand that, one, they're not always unrealistic. If you know that the picture has been photoshopped, then, I mean, yeah, that's, of course, advertisements are there to prey on your insecurities. They're there to take advantage of you. Because let's be honest, they don't care about you, they don't care about me, all they care about is that green. Right? But then there are some women online who look exactly the way that they're supposed to look because they put in the effort. And that's not shaming you, that's not telling you you're worthless. Again, inspiration, these models, these role models represent what you can be, not what you have to be. And you need to understand that you, as a woman, will always and forever find someone who wants to treat you well and protect you. You have that. You get that. Just out the womb, you have that already. It doesn't matter what you look like. Unless you look like the girl from The Exorcist. Then all you need is an exorcist because that's not healthy. But yeah, I made this video because I want you people to really think about these different ideals and to understand the purpose of a model, to understand the purpose of inspiration, to understand that these are ideals, these are what you can be or what some people may like, but it doesn't appeal to everybody. You have to find the inner love and the inner peace in yourself to make the decision. Is that what I really want? Do I have to do this? Do I have to be this way? And the answer, more often than not, is probably going to be no. So, with that being said, man, I certainly hope I've left you guys with something to think about. Hopefully I've left you guys with the seeds that will help you grow self-love and to help you understand that you are probably fine just the way you are. And that you always and forever have the potential to become better than what you were the day before. So with that being said, man, I certainly hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you did, man, go ahead and click that like button. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. comment in the comment box below, and as always, have a great day. I will see you cool cats soon. Adios.